My name is David Harmon. I'm 42 years old now, and this happened when I was just 25. Back then, I was working night shifts at a paper mill just outside of a small town called Black Ridge, Washington, about 40 minutes from Seattle. It was the kind of town that looked like it came out of a postcard in the day and out of a Stephen King novel after sunset. This is not a story I tell people easily. I've never shared it publicly. Not even my wife knows the full version. It sounds ridiculous if you try to make sense of it. Hell, I've been trying to forget it for almost 2 decades. But sometimes on cold, rainy nights when the wind rustles through the trees just right, it all comes back. And it all started at a bus stop. A simple, broken-down bus stop on a lonely stretch of Route 9. I had just finished another grueling 10-hour shift. My hands still smelled like ink and wood pulp. The buses didn't run that frequently that late, but I always caught the 12:40 a.m. back toward town. It dropped me off 2 blocks from my apartment. Nothing fancy, just a shelter made of metal bars and plexiglass, right next to an old, overgrown cemetery. Yeah, a bus stop next to a cemetery. I'd waited there dozens of times before. Never thought much about it. It was always quiet. Cold. Occasionally I'd see deer on the edge of the woods. Once I even saw a raccoon climb onto the bench like it was waiting for the bus too. But that night was different. When I walked up to the bus stop, I immediately noticed something was off. No crickets. No owls. Not even the usual buzzing of those shitty streetlights. Just a suffocating silence like the world had held its breath. The only sound was the squelching of my boots on the wet pavement. The air smelled like ozone and rust. I checked the time, 12:38 a.m. Right on time. The bus was late. At first I thought I was alone. Then I saw her. A woman, tall, maybe 5'9", was standing just outside the bus shelter. She wore a white hoodie with the hood pulled up and jeans soaked to the knee. She didn't seem to be shivering despite the cold rain. Just standing, perfectly still. I couldn't see her face. It was turned slightly away, looking toward the cemetery across the road. I said something dumb like, "Cold night, huh?" No reply. No reaction. Nothing. I remember feeling this weird tightness in my chest, like when you're standing too close to a cliff. So I just sat on the bench and waited, phone in hand, scrolling through nothing. At 12:50, the bus still hadn't arrived. 12:55, nothing. I looked up again. She was gone. No sound. No footsteps, no car, just gone. I stood up, walked to where she had been. The ground was wet, muddy, but there were no footprints. At 1:03 a.m., I saw something across the street. At first, I thought it was a man in a trench coat walking through the cemetery. But the longer I stared, the more I realized he wasn't walking. He was gliding, no bounce, no sway. Just smooth, unnatural movement between the headstones. His head jerked occasionally, like he was scanning the bus stop. I backed into the shelter, suddenly very aware of how exposed I was. Then he stopped and turned and looked right at me. Even though he was across the road and partially hidden by fog, I swear to you, I felt him see me. My heart was pounding like a hammer in my throat. I looked away for 1 second, just one, and when I looked back, he was gone. At 1:10 a.m., a bus finally arrived. At least, I thought it was a bus. It was old, like 1960s old. Faded green paint, round headlights that barely lit up the road. No number on the front, no electronic display, just a sign that said, "Special Service." I was too tired and too cold to care. I stepped in. The driver didn't greet me. He looked pale. His eyes never met mine. He just nodded slightly. I moved to sit down. There were 3 people on the bus. An elderly man in a black suit, sitting stiffly. A girl, couldn't have been older than 12, staring at the window. And the woman in the white hoodie. She was back. Only now her hood was down. Her hair was wet and clung to her face, and she was crying. But it was worse than that. Her face didn't look right. It was too symmetrical. Her eyes didn't blink. Her lips were stretched too wide into a crooked smile, but her eyes were full of terror. She looked right at me and mouthed the words, "Don't get off." I didn't understand. Don't get off? What was she talking about? The bus started moving. The rain outside turned into a full-blown storm. Trees blurred by, streetlights vanished. We weren't going into town. We were heading toward the hills. There were no stops, no turns. Just a straight, endless ride through fog and forest. The driver never spoke. The man in the suit never moved. The girl never blinked. And the woman, she kept staring at me, shaking her head, silently crying. My phone had no signal. I tried to speak. "Hey, is this going to Black Ridge?" No one replied. Then the lights on the bus flickered, and for just a moment, a single horrifying moment, everyone on that bus had the same face, pale, stretched, grinning, hollow black eyes, even me. I saw my reflection in the window, and it was one of them. I stood up, heart racing. "I want to get off. I want to get off now." The driver looked at me through the mirror, smiled, and said, "Next stop." I blacked out. When I opened my eyes, I was back at the bus stop. It was 2:12 a.m. No sign of a bus. No sign of the woman. Nothing. But there were muddy footprints on the bench beside me. And in the distance, just for a second, I heard a bus horn echo through the woods. But no bus came. Not that night. Not ever again. I called in sick for 3 days after that. When I finally went back to work, I drove. Never used that bus again. Later, I tried to look up old bus routes, accidents, obituaries. I found one article from 1973. Local bus crashes near Black Ridge Cemetery, 4 dead, 1 missing. They included a blurry photo of the passengers, the girl, the old man, the driver, the woman in the hoodie. Their names were all listed as presumed deceased. I couldn't sleep for weeks after that. Even now, if I ever see an empty green bus, I turn the other way, because I know that route still runs, and it's always looking for new passengers. If you're ever in Washington, if you ever find yourself waiting at a lonely stop in the rain, and a green bus pulls up without a number, don't get on. No matter how tired you are, no matter how late it is, because not every ride takes you home. Some rides take you somewhere else entirely. And not everyone comes back.